How do you determine what to do here on TikTok versus YouTube or Instagram? So when you're deciding what content you really need to understand who your audience is on each of these platforms. TikTok is going to have a different environment than Instagram, than YouTube, etc. So you need to understand who your audience is. And yes, you will have some crossover audience. You will have some people who follow you on TikTok and Instagram, and those people have the same vibes. But TikTok and Instagram and YouTube overall as a community have very different vibes. TikTok is definitely more laid back, more casual, show up how you are, where you are, whenever you are, have the conversations. It is sit down and be real with people. It is sit down and have those conversations. It is running into the room, throwing yourself on the chair and having the conversations with people. Instagram is a little more polished. You want to make sure that you are very clear on what you're saying, but also Instagram is a little less in the moment. So Instagram is going to look a little more cinematic than everywhere else, and they're going to be less trendy. YouTube is very clearly more of a professional platform, and they want you to have very clear, concise conversations with people. We're not dancing, we're not lip syncing, we're not doing trends. We are communicating valuable information that is meant to be searched and to help people find solutions or entertain them in some way. So understanding how the audience vibes with each community is going to be really important. With that said, you can have a lot of crossover content. So make it for TikTok, also put it on YouTube, also put it on Instagram. Maybe mix up the days, maybe do it the same days. I typically caution people to do it on different days so you hit those different audiences, but you don't have to. You can do it all at the same time. You can do whatever you want, and you'll see me testing it different ways as well. I do recommend that you have a good amount of content, at least enough to be noticeable, to be unique to each of these platforms. Because if somebody follows you on TikTok and all they ever see is the exact same thing on your Instagram, what's the point of them being on Instagram? They are going to scroll past that if they've already seen it on TikTok, which means that's hurting your algorithm. It tells the Instagram algorithm, this is not good. Because they don't know that you already saw, or their viewer already saw that content. So you have to be very, very clear about creating unique content to each platform just to give them something valuable to see over there that they're not going to be able to get anywhere else. That also helps you to drive traffic, gets your numbers up, gets your views up, gets your algorithm standing up. So you want to make sure you're doing things specific to each of them. Whereas on TikTok, you may jump on a trend, or you may do something fun, some kind of flash in the pan thing, where you may sit down and have some other type of conversation that you wouldn't have on Instagram because that's a little more professional. This is more a little real raw. You may want to go over to Instagram and create a polished cinematic version of your trip somewhere or doing something or something. We want to make it a little more storytelling and a little less of the trendy, like, let me just sit down on my pajamas and tell you because I'm answering your question right now in the moment. You want to make sure that you're doing something unique to each platform. That way people have a reason to be on all of them, even if there is some crossover. So the best thing you can do is remember that Instagram is a little more polished, a little more curated, and a little more cinematic. We want our storytelling, we want it to be slightly curated, slightly magazine-like, but we're pulling back from that, and we have for a while. So it does not want to, or you don't want to be like over the top cinematic with this or over the top edited. You want to make sure it's kind of real and relational and a little bit on the raw side, but not like I'm sitting down in my pajamas to answer this question right this very second. This is more of a, okay, let's put a little makeup on and let's get ready to do this video and then answer the people. TikTok is a whatever goes platform. You have to make sure you have clear communication, and there's a reason for you to be there, but you can have a little more fun with it, and you don't have to be quite as professional. So if you just want to go off in a video and talk without a script or without having a very specific, clear trajectory for what you're doing, you can. Whereas that's a little bit less on Instagram. On YouTube, you gotta be polished. You have to be professional because you are being seen as a representation of your business and brand, period. So you do have to level that content up a little bit. We are not sitting down and just, you know, if you just woke up and you opened TikTok and you saw something you can answer, you can do that on TikTok, but you can't do that on YouTube. You have to make sure it is a little more polished and refined and with a very clear purpose and trajectory to your content. So that should be a pretty good overarching guide to when and where you should be creating content for each of these platforms, but you can still do crossover content. If it works for one, it doesn't mean it's not going to work for the others. It absolutely could, especially depending on how you run your brand, but you want to make sure that you are giving very clear, valuable content for the specific platforms, and the algorithms lean into different things. The algorithms are going to lean into very different things. So as you're setting your channels and your platforms, you are going to see what works and what doesn't work and be able to lean into it and lean away from it depending on what your audience is responding to. And then of course work with the platforms. Instagram is not only video. You should sometimes be posting photos. You should sometimes be posting carousels and albums. And on YouTube, you should also be posting longer form content, not just short videos for the shorts, but you should be posting longer content as well, because that's what people are looking for, and that's what's going to help you level up on the platforms. So be clear and concise on what you're saying, how you're doing it, what the environment is like, and what your audience is going to expect as you are planning your content.